So today, this workshop, we're going to go through SAT question approaches and just like how to approach various question types. And then we're going to do that with going through actual examples. So first, we're going to start with the reading section today. Okay, so when you're reading a passage for the SAT, it's definitely very important to understand the main idea and what exactly the author is talking about. So the main idea is the topic plus the point the author is trying to make about the topic. So on the SAT, it's definitely not only important to understand exactly like the topic, but also why the author is arguing or writing about it. So on the next slide, I'm gonna give you a short passage from the SAT, and then just in your head, are you able to state the topic and what the author is saying about it? And so I'm just going to give you around 2 minutes to just read over this, then I'll just go over it after. Okay, so these notes are definitely going to be more detailed than the notes that you would actually take on the SAT if you're reading, but this is definitely a good tip while you're reading or reading through passages on the SAT, just to take small notes. So you can just refer back to it and it'll be easier for you to just draw a conclusion or summarize the main idea of the passage. So in this case, the topic is talking about the fortune cookie. And in the first sentence, it talks about how the fortune cookie manufacturing changed forever. So in your mind, you can just think like, what caused this change and what exactly is the author trying to convey? So in the next sentence, it talks about how Edward Louis invented a machine. So that basically sets out what the piece is going to be talking about. And then it goes on to talk about how modern machines follow the same steps of handmade fortune cookies. So here you can write a note about how the author brought up a machine and a machine's effect in the fortune cookie production, because as we can see that automating the process did not necessarily affect the quality of the cookie if the machine followed the same steps. So it lists the steps here in detail. And then it goes on to say, now fortune cookie machines like this can make up to 8,000 cookies in 1 hour. So an inference that you can draw here is because of the machine, cookie production is definitely be able like it's cookies are definitely able to just like the production is definitely able to just increase in speed and productivity. So this far exceeds the number of cookies that can be made by hand. So it's definitely much easier to distribute over the country. And then this next paragraph then talks about how fortune cookies are a prominent part of the Asian American cuisine and how people can then customize fortune cookies to send to loved ones. So your notes here can just be the effect of the fortune cookie machines. And here it says the cookies are not only a common feature at a Chinese food restaurant, but they are used to spread memorable messages in everyday life. And so now we're going to go through it together. And before we answer the question, it's definitely important to know what the passage is actually talking about, the topic. So in this case, the topic is about how actors, how people think that like it's let's see, like the general public often wonders how actors can remember their lines, and just about how actors, they're trained to remember their lines and how they do so. So in this case, it's talking about the comparisons in lines 26 and 27. And if you look back at the passage, this section of the passage is talking about how the body seems to have a memory like the mind does, and then how the heart has a memory. Okay, so here's an example of a triangle question. So I'll give you guys 3 minutes to just solve this. So this is asking you about two isosceles triangles, and then if 180 minus z equals 2y and y equals 75, what is the value of x?